Welcome back to another episode of the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. It's your healthy habits and lifestyle coach, Joe Vani, and I help those with endometriosis and polycystic ovary syndrome reduce chronic pain, eliminate stress, and minimize irregular or heavy periods. Y'all, today we got DeJa in the studio for her journey of strength with polycystic ovary syndrome. But before we get to know her, before we dive deep into her journey, y'all already know what time it is. Vibe with me, y'all. Welcome to the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. Yo!
So cute.
I see you with the bounce and the bounce, the bounce, the bounce. Bring it on in. That's how you feeling.
I love that intro. That was so cute.
Thank you. I appreciate you. So introduce yourself. Let them know who you are.
Yes. Okay. So hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. My name is DeJa. I am an LPC-A in the state of Texas, and I'm here with my beautiful soror, and we're doing our thing.
And is. So I'm gonna start off on a good vibe. So my first question is, what would the world look like or feel like without polycystic ovary syndrome to you?
Oh man, that is a big question. For me, the world, it would look so much brighter. It would look so much, I would feel like myself, like the self I really knew myself to be. I would feel more confident. I would feel just more healthy, maybe more in tune with my body, maybe less steps to complete in the morning when getting ready for the day, less makeup days, just, yeah, less worried about weight. I definitely would have less stress, and that's what I'm supposed to have, and PCOS gives me more stress.
I like it. I feel you on that. So I don't know about the getting up in the morning extra stuff. Definitely don't do the makeup. But when you said confidence, I feel you all the way with confidence. Confidence, and then sometimes I'm gonna go with confidence. I was gonna say self-esteem, but I'm gonna go with confidence because I think it's the facial hair for me that makes me like not want to show up in certain places, or if I have all my hair to like try to get my hair down. So like you have to be looking hard to find the hair that I don't want you to know is there. That type of energy or vibe. But it can definitely be stressful and overwhelming. I love that you say getting to know your body more. Like that mind-body connection, it is such an intentional practice and approach that you have to take once you are diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome or endometriosis or fibroids, because now you're trying to figure out what's going on in your body, because now you know something on the inside isn't right. And I think that's just kind of how it goes. But I appreciate you. Let's starting us on that vibe. So the journey began at what age for you when it came to starting to see those first signs and symptoms of polycystic ovary syndrome?
So I would say, really, like if I had known, the journey probably started at 12, but it didn't really, get the diagnosis, click in and everything until I was 18. And then I didn't take it serious until I was 25. So yeah, and I also wanted to say the world without PCOS would look a lot cheaper. Mad expensive to have PCOS. I don't get it.
You are so right. So I was looking at that, and I'm glad you brought that up. I was looking at it because I was like, healthy habits and lifestyle changes would be so ideal for people with PCOS, endometriosis, because there are some symptoms that we can reverse. There's some things that we can try to lessen at a certain degree without, I don't want to say traditional medicine or, like prescribed medication or something like that. But when you go a more holistic approach, there are ways that you can, really help yourself and support yourself, have a more vibrant life every single day. But when I realized it was an $8 billion industry, and people are spending that much a year just for polycystic ovary syndrome treatment, it was just like, we need more people out here trying to help. And there's some I don't want to say simple ways, but there's some non-expensive ways to
Mhm.
approach the life
Mhm.
of vibrancy with PCOS. And I like that we talked about it earlier. We were really talking about um, trauma and stress. And I know we're
Mhm.
about to get in, we can get into it now. But when you say it'll look cheaper, yeah, it would. And then
Yeah.
it also makes you think like, how much is your life that you know you deserve worth to you to make that investment, or open your mindset to doing some things a little differently to see how your body responds
Mhm.
to. So I like that you said cheaper. So we can take it to your I ain't take it serious until 25 and why. And then we can kind of roll into that other
Mhm.
aspect. Like,
For sure, for sure. So, like I said, I was diagnosed at 18 officially. I didn't take it serious because she was like, "Oh, you can't have kids." I was 18. I don't want kids. Like, okay, you
that
know,
was all she said.
huh?
That's all she said. She like didn't explain what was going on
No,
with you,
that's what
why
she
it was
said.
happening.
She said you will probably have difficulty having kids, and like that was it. And so I was like, oh, okay, like I'm 18. I that's fine. Like I don't care. So then when I was on birth control. I was also in college. I was having the best days of my life.
So
And
did
then
they put you on birth control as a treatment of your PCOS?
yes, yes.
Okay. So what were those symptoms that you had that made them even go down the route of identifying that it was PCOS for you?
So she told me that I had two small cysts
Okay.
on my ovaries, and and I hate when people do this. She said, "Oh, I noticed you have the upper lip hair." I was like, don't be talking about me. But yeah, she said that. And I was like, okay. And she was like, yeah, like that's normal. That seems to be kind of in alignment with PCOS. And then again, the explanation was like, yeah, if you wanted to have kids, like the percentage for that happening is pretty low. And like
Mm.
that was it. She said, don't smoke because that will like aggravate things. And like smoking is the worst thing you can do. And that was like all the information that I got.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this started at 12 though. What was the symptoms at 12?
At 12, I've always been like a hairy kid,
Gotcha.
and I just thought it was normal. But like, and I had I don't want to say I had like a delayed period, but it did kind of take a while for my period to come, and then my periods were really heavy and I had
Mm.
very painful cramps. But I
So
just thought
I
it
feel
was
you on the hairiness. I thought being hairy was just a part of my family because other females in my family had hair in other places. So I just
Mhm.
thought it was normal too, or just, genetics, hereditary type thing. And nobody that I knew of in my family was ever diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome.
Mhm.
So that it wasn't like I could say,
Yep.
it's known.
Nope.
But I feel you on the hair part. I hate to hear that you had some pretty painful periods and that they were
Mhm.
so heavy. When we talked about it on the podcast before, and it's just like you don't know what's abnormal and what's really heavy to you if you've never experienced any other period but your period.
Right. Mhm.
So if you're going through 30 pads, you just think, oh, well, that's my period.
Mhm.
30 minutes in one pad is just like, okay, well, that's just my normal 30 minutes in one pad. And then you hear other people say, well, you should change your pad every 1 to 2 hours. You should change your tampons every 3 hours. And then it's like if
Mhm.
somebody's going through it in a different time frame, it's like, well, where do we come up with these
These
measurements and these metrics?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
who came up with this? It's like, are we all having the same menstrual conversations
Mhm.
nationwide?
Mhm.
It's not aligning for me. But I understand being 18 and someone just saying don't smoke because it'll make things worse and you won't be able to have kids. Okay, that's clearly not on a short-term goal for you right now
Mhm.
at 18 is to have kids. Like you still want to live your life and figure out what life looks like for you to say something like that, to be able to take it as serious. So what happened at 25 that
Right.
said, slow it down, girl, figure out what's going on in your.
So, yeah, at 25, like I said, I have been doing the birth control, and I had noticed that I had started using the NuvaRing, and I noticed like my emotions were really, really big. And I was just very reactive to everything. And I was like, this is not me. Like, this doesn't feel normal. Um, and so I decided, like, I'm not doing birth control no more because it's not making sense. I stopped doing birth control, and then, I mean, my hormones just completely went out of whack. My sex drive decreased, the facial hair increased, um, and the weight came. And I was like, oh, like, wait a minute. Like, I remember the diagnosis of the PCOS, and I was like, there must be something more into it. And then I started to do my own research, and I was like, dang, I really wasn't educated in all of this. Like, I really didn't know, what I was doing. I didn't prepare myself for what could happen and what did happen.
So what did you do when that facial hair came back? How did you want to address that?
First, I had a breakdown because I was like, "What is this?" And then I started doing laser hair, and that was fine. It helps, but it was expensive. Um, so then I started taking herbs, and I went vegan, and vegan is what got me to gaining so much weight because I was a fat vegan. Like, I was just like sugar. I was eating sugar because I didn't know what else to eat really. Um, so like between sugar and vegetables, like, that's not smart. So yeah, I was doing a lot of that. And then the weight started to come on. So then I did like 75-day hard to lose the weight, and I was able to lose the weight. But I realized, like, oh, I can't just do a challenge. Like, I have to maintain. So started changing that. Then I went to pescatarian because the vegan life wasn't for me. And I noticed that I was like, my eczema was starting to break out too. And so I knew that I was missing something in my diet. And being pescatarian has helped me, like, to kind of level that out. And then, yeah. Then I started doing electrolysis. Also expensive, not as expensive for me as laser hair, but still expensive. So that's where I am now.
I got you. So I think it's the sugar and the vegetables is what got me. And I think, like, a lot of times, because you know how they say, depending on the type of PCOS you have, with
Mm-hmm.
the insulin resistance,
Mm-hmm.
that sugar can be a major
Mm-hmm.
culprit to our body and how our body responds to the things
Mm-hmm.
that we eat. Um, and and it's hard because sugar can be in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so
It's
you
in
never
everything.
really know what you're consuming unless you're really intentional about looking on the back of the box and then
Mm-hmm.
taking the information on the back of the box and then applying it to like
Mm-hmm.
some other type of app where you can scan it and
Mm-hmm.
really know what's in the food.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I could definitely see how just being vegan wasn't the answer, because if
Mm-hmm.
there's non-smart ways of
Mm-hmm.
being a vegan and still doing things. At that
Yeah.
point, you're just not consuming animal products, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're still getting in your proper fruits, vegetables,
Right.
minerals, and all the things that you need to, be
Yeah.
be able to move forward in a vibrant way. I want to know, doing the 75 hard, what
Mm-hmm.
was it you think in the 75 hard that allowed you to start seeing the results that you wanted to see for your body and have that response that your body had?
I think it was the dedication, honestly. Like, so I was doing the workout 2 times a day, reading the 10 pages, drinking a gallon of water, sticking to a certain diet. I didn't eat out very much. There was some times when we did eat out, but not eating out very much. And I really dramatically, like, cut down on the sugar. And because I had a bad sweet tooth. So during that time, I really, like, cut down. It wasn't gone, but I cut down on it, and that helped to make a difference. But definitely the consistency and being active is what led me to see the results that I was able to see.
it sounded like mindset was like the biggest thing for you, because you were like
Mhm.
determined, you were focused, and there was
Mhm.
nothing stopping you from going all in for you. Felt like the number one. And number two sounded like letting that sugar go. And sugar is such a hard thing for people to get away from, especially
Mhm.
when you grew up with a common and consistent relationship with sugar in every single thing you drank or ate.
Mhm.
And so it does take a very um, intricate approach
Mhm.
to changing your relationship with sugar. That's not easy, but definitely takes over time. And I'm happy that you were able to see a cutback. And when you
Mhm.
cut back, you saw that change for yourself, to know that it really wasn't helping you,
Mhm.
more than you just enjoying what it gave you in instant gratification, you know?
Yeah.
Did you see any differences with your period experiences on the 75 hard while on it?
So I got my period back,
Oh, so it's
and
gone.
yes, I had experienced 6 months without a period before I did the challenge, and then once we have started the challenge, I got my period back, and like since then, it's been very much so consistent. It shows up. I don't count, but I know around the time it should be there. So it showed up at the same time, like very consistently. And so I know me being active, cutting down on the sugar, like that was very helpful. And sugar was a way that I was like coping too. You know, if I'm upset, all right, well, about to go eat me a little cookie, whatever is going on. I'm gonna go grab a little sweet treat. And no, like I had to I had to come to terms with what was going on emotionally, so that way I could have a better balance and reach the goals that I said that I wanted.
I love that for you, and I'm happy that you were able to experience that. I feel for me, I feel like um, I definitely have. I like a good sweet tooth, and being on this raw journey right now,
Mhm.
or live food journey, I'm realizing how to find alternatives to the things I love the most.
Mm.
So, like, my favorite place to go get French fries, like French fries are my thing, is now the place I go to get my favorite guacamole and cucumbers.
Mm.
Um, when it comes to wanting candy or like something really sweet, if I don't get my raw vegan cheesecake like I love to get from Recipe Oak Cliff, then I'll get this Go Raw clusters. They got the sweet and salty clusters, and then they have like these chocolate clusters. And it's like
Oh.
my go to making sure I get
Mhm.
like still get that zinc, that magnesium, because it's like sprouted pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds. And so it's like a healthy way of getting in something sweet. And it's like if
Mhm.
I was not on the journey, this raw journey, and having to find stuff to address
Mhm.
my hunger cues, then
Mhm.
I probably, yeah, it would probably be a wrap. I don't eat a lot of candy, but it would probably be a whole bunch of chewing gum, which has
Yeah.
sugar. To be trying to find something to curb it. But
Mhm.
I wanna get into this emotional side for you,
Mhm.
because you were talking about having these emotional phases come about, and you want to kind of result into the sweet tooth.
Mhm.
I want to know a little bit more about kind of like your holistic methods that you have
Mhm.
found to be effective for managing your PCOS, and how do these techniques differ from traditional medical treatments?
Mhm.
Because I know you told me before some things that you did that you found work for you.
Yeah. So, um, I'll what what started me is I had a friend at the time who had told me about the Golden Goddess collection. And so I had started to use that because I also think at that time I was only getting my period every other month. So I had started taking those teas and I have been consistent, very consistent. And then I started addressing like stressors. And I had to learn really how to ground myself, how to ground my body, pay attention to like what my body was telling me and like honoring what it is that it needed. So once I was able to address my stressors, eliminate my stressors, taking my teas consistently, and really slowing down, that is what helps me a lot. I like to be on go. I like to move very fast, and I like to keep things to myself. I needed to do all the opposite of the things that I like to do. And that was when I was really able to notice a change, and my body was a lot happier. Um, and then just recently, I find out that my body really likes Pilates. Again, moving slow. So as I'm able to move through Pilates, like I can, it's a lot of core strengthening of the core, being in touch with the core, breathing. My body loves that. And as I'm able to do that more, I'm able to see a decrease in my eczema. I'm able to see a decrease in my stress, which leads to a decrease in the extra hair. And my core is actually very reactive. Like it doesn't take much for those little ab lines to start to show up. And so I've noticed,
Hey,
like,
okay, rip
so
day.
flex, so flex. So the more that I'm able to do those things, the more that my body just thanks me when I'm doing the core work, and being honest about it and being patient, while doing that work, it works out.
So did the 75 hard incorporate like get you to explore Pilates during that time, or
Um,
did that come afterwards? What
it
is
came
the physical activity?
afterwards.
Okay, so there's a different physical activity component that goes with the 75 hard.
So in the 75 part, it was literally just like you need to be doing an exercise for 45 minutes inside and outside.
So what did
So
that look like for you?
I was following this training app that my wife has,
Okay.
and it was mostly weight training that we were doing,
Mm.
and that did benefit me a lot. It was weight training, and then like we would do Grow with Joe on YouTube, or we just go in the garage and like do some stuff for 45 minutes, just trying to move around. And then there were some days where we started to incorporate yoga, and then I think because of the yoga, that's when I was able to transition later into Pilates.
I like it. What was the yoga approach look like? Because I've done a few videos and I
Hmm.
found a few people
Hmm.
on YouTube with yoga, but I haven't consistently did it. I've tried hot yoga before when I lived in Florida.
Hmm.
I did hot Pilates one time last year, almost around this time last year, here in Texas, but it's never been this consistent, like, ooh, I want to do yoga. Ooh, I
Hmm.
want to do yoga. And I grew up a dancer, tap, jazz,
Hmm.
ballet, lyrical, hip hop. So it's hard. It's more challenging for me. Not as hard. It's more
Hmm.
challenging for me to try to find a routine, so to speak,
Mm. Mhm.
of yoga or
Mhm.
Pilates. But I can walk with
Mhm.
Spencer all day, any day. We can just get out there and walk. And I've seen the most beneficial in my body with the reduced facial hair, like you talked about. I did like 100 miles in September. I did like 70-ish in October. Both were like for good causes. Like my line
Mhm.
sister in September for Cancer Awareness Month, but she had leukemia. And then for my other line sister, it was her birthday month in October, and so that was for breast cancer awareness. So if I have a good strong mission,
Mhm.
I can compete with some good miles, and I'll get those miles in that way. But trying to find a good consistent yoga routine or
Mhm.
Pilates routine, I haven't quite found that yet. So
Mhm.
what's your suggestion for those that do have PCOS that are looking
Mhm.
for a consistent activity to
Mhm.
kind of incorporate outside of walking? Because walking's simple, you just do it if you can do
Mhm.
it. You don't want to take that walking for granted, that mobility for granted, because like you
Mhm.
said, you can do strength training, so resistance bands, weights, if you're unable to literally walk.
Mhm.
What would be your inspiration or some tips to get people in the groove of walking so they can start feeling the way you feeling and getting ripped the way you getting ripped? PCOS.
So I struggle with that consistency too, because I just get bored. But so on YouTube it was Nico, Yoga with Nico. I really like her. She has like beginner level, intermediate, advanced. And then she does like, her astrology tip thing for those that are into it. And so I really like that. And she has like morning vinyasa, all that good stuff. So like there's a lot, like she puts out a lot of content. So there's a lot of videos to choose from. So I really appreciated that, and that's what helped me to like do the yoga, because I felt like I was actually able to keep up. And then my Pilates girl, I cannot remember her name right now, but she's really amazing. I love her. She has an accent, so it's Pilates with her, and that every time she says it, like that gives me like this little so like I can keep going and like do the thing. And so I really like her. I like her channel too. She's pretty consistent as well. And she's gonna get you there. You don't think that you're gonna get there like based off of a YouTube video. Yes, you will. My arms be shaking, my legs be shaking. Like it's gonna take you there. And then as far as like if nothing else, just going for a walk, like you said, finding that little motivation to just kind of go outside, touch some grass, be in the air. Um, I like to take my little Berlin, and me and my wife go and we just chat the whole time. And we just walk the neighborhood. Like it just has to be I have to be intentional, because like I said, I do get bored sometimes. And so I just have to be intentional, and like maybe instead of going the way we always go, we gotta go a different way. We gotta do something different so I can look at
You
something.
sound like my mom on that one. If I bring my mom along or my mom joins me and Spencer for a walk, then it's, oh, let's go down here, let's go down there. And I'm thinking,
Move down.
I like to just go straight down and come straight back, because I don't want Spencer to think like if he ever got loose that he needs to be crossing the street to go over here, go
Oh
over there.
yeah.
So I feel like if I just keep him on the same route, he'll
Mhm.
know how to go home, go here, and then come
Mhm.
back home. Like he should be able to find his way.
He's gonna
But when
come
he
home
if he can't,
regardless.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I hope so. But you
You
sound like
would.
mom, like, let's just switch it up. Let's switch it up. And so she's one of those people. I'm like, all right, let's switch it up. Then let's
Mhm.
go. Let's
Yeah.
let's walk that walk, Mom. Let's walk that
Mhm.
walk. So
Mhm.
I have a question for you.
Mhm.
What specific therapeutic strategies do you employ to support clients with PCOS at
Mm.
deeper healing? And
Mm.
are there therapies or activities you have found very, very beneficial?
Mm. That is a great question. So I specifically use mindfulness. So one of my biggest things is breathing and visualization. And like for me, and I did this once with a client before, um, PCOS is very much so trauma related. And so what I like to do is, because my womb is my home, and I have to try to make it feel like home. So I like to visualize, lighting that makes me feel good, while I'm holding my womb, hand on my chest, making it warm in there, allowing myself to know that I'm safe, that this is my body, that, I'm in control of it. I have the boundaries on my body. And when it comes to the trauma, even when it comes to the cysts, sometimes when I think about it, I'm just like literally picturing all of that being removed. I'm picturing the cyst being removed. I'm picturing the gump being removed. And I'm very much so intentional in praying over, speaking over, however that manifests for anyone, um, kindness into my womb. It's seen the trauma, it's heard the ill words, it's seen the ill intentions. So I take my time in speaking kindness, speaking love, speaking calm into my womb. And that's been something that I've been able to utilize with clients as well.
Mindfulness and visualization. I
Mm-hmm.
like that. I honestly, I thought about it yesterday, and I think I thought about it today. So today is day 50 on this raw journey, and it started just a 3-day challenge with my friend Shireen. And I was like, let's just keep going. And then I said, okay, let me get ready for a raw April. And so I was like,
Mm-hmm.
why stop now? In
Mm-hmm.
March. I think I started March 18th. I was like, why stop now? Let me just go and start finding ways that I can be successful and sustain this in April. Like, let me just keep trying different stuff and different snacks and stuff. And I did I went to a community market fair, DeJa, and that was on Saturday. And when I was there, I met so many other people that's on this plant-based lifestyle. It wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
lot, But there
Mm-hmm.
was one guy who has been raw for 4 years. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Ooh, I'm on day 48."
Mm-hmm.
4 years, 48. Okay, I see there. I see there. An older lady, plant healer. Um, she's been on it for a while. Feeling good, feeling great. And when I thought about it and I told my story, because the older lady asked me about it, and I told her why I was doing what I was doing and where it came about. I feel like being on the raw, I'm giving my body the opportunity to truly cleanse. And
Mm-hmm.
because I'm approaching it a totally different way, because I'm giving it different types of food and I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking in a different type of mindset and state of mind, my
Mm-hmm.
visualization is I'm breaking some stuff up. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what all is in there that needs to be broken up. I don't know what was
Mm-hmm.
left or what has tried to come back after my excision surgery in March 2020. I don't know what fibroids might be lingering in there, but what I'm doing is I'm breaking it up. And how I feel like I'm
Mm-hmm.
breaking it up is because I'm breaking my former or previous relationship with food up, and I'm seeing
Mm-hmm.
it in a different light.
Mm-hmm.
And I, I'm okay with that. And it was this one comment that someone said, "Oh, you have a lot of energy. She's high energy." I can only imagine if she's only on day 48, what it's going to look like in 4 years. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, what y'all mean? What y'all talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, break this down for me. What's about to happen? Like, how long am I supposed to go and something else is about to change? And they're like, nah, she might be already at a total detox at 48 days. And I'm thinking, hmm? Like, what's the expectation? And so I told my friend that, and my friend was like, "Oh my God, if you get any more energy, I don't know what that's gonna look like." And people always say I'm with good energy, and that's when I started juicing last year. But it's
Mm-hmm.
just like I like the fact that if it's showing up on the outside as good energy, I can only imagine and visualize that good stuff is happening on the inside. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay with that because that makes me feel a whole lot better since I know I have to heal myself. I have to be
Mm-hmm.
intentional about my own healing journey. And it's not a
Mm-hmm.
destination. It's a journey. And so I
Mm-hmm.
have to keep being intentional about it. So I love that you said visualization because not only am I visualizing my healing, I'm also mindful of the things I eat, mindful of, like you said, the stressors, the
Mm-hmm.
triggers, mindful of the space I'm in, uh, mindful of other people,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as well as myself, and that matters. That matters to me. So, given the unique community that you serve,
Mm-hmm.
how you how do you really address the intersection of identity with the Black, Indigenous, people of color, and/or queer, and managing conditions like PCOS?
Mm. Mm. Honestly, I try to keep the floor very much so open and I try to listen because, when I retell my story and how I got diagnosed with PCOS and everything like that, um I was given the bare minimum of information, and I think if I haven't given different information and then if I had of, but here I am. And so I try to create that open space because it affects us all very much so different. I try to keep that space open just so I can listen. Because that's a big thing with us is that when we presenting our thoughts to the doctor or we're presenting our concerns, we're not even being heard. Or it's okay, yeah, you got PCOS. Here, go and take this. But what does this do? And then I have to go and do this own research and I find out, oh, like this is not even good for my skin. This is not even good for my kidneys. Like this is not good for Black women because. And so what I really try to do is hold space just to listen. And then to be able to point them in the right direction because I don't have all the spoons. I recognize my capacity, and I recognize my knowledge. And I'm like, okay, here you are. I can recommend this because it worked for me, but I hear that it's sounding a little bit different. Okay, so maybe go and ask this person over here. They might have some different questions, or actually, I heard about this, and that might help you in a better way. And that's really my goal, like, is just to listen so that way they can take up the space.
I love it. I do. And I think sometimes that's where a lot of the healing can actually take place is in the listening, because some people just need to get it out. And when
Mm-hmm.
they get it out and they hear now that it's out, it's no longer on the inside and they don't have
Mm-hmm.
to carry that. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
able to get it out and then be able to process what you just got out and we can leave it
Mm-hmm.
here, then you know what I'm saying? Like there
Mm-hmm.
we go. We pretty much are already helping and healing just in that moment of first just listening. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I think people think that it's this big long term, like long effect, big treatment plan that you put on someone in order for them to heal. And it's really just as simple as being
Mm-hmm.
being aware, being with yourself, acknowledging, but at the same time, knowing that it's okay to give yourself permission to let things go, as well
Mm-hmm.
as giving yourself grace for experiencing what you have experienced. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that is big in my mind. And so when you talked about the healthcare, and you talk about you really don't get a lot of that information, and what to do and how to overcome those, obstacles. How do you feel like you're able to help your clients overcome obstacles when it comes to the healthcare
I
system?
really I really just encourage them to be honest about what's going on, and I do push for that personal research, because like I said, what fits for me might not fit for you. I can only tell you what it is that I am doing. And I just can't say, "Oh, don't do that," because it might not work. It very much so can work for that person. So by holding that floor open and being like, "Okay, this is what I've heard. I can put you in this Facebook group so you can ask the question amongst us and feel safe and know that you're going to be supported. Nobody's going to be looking at you crazy for asking that question." Like that's really all I can do, because I'm on a journey with you. I'm still trying to figure out what works for me, what looks good for me, what doesn't work for me, and what I really need. And it's ever changing because our bodies get used to things, and that thing that worked great don't work no more. So yeah, I try to remind them, like, hey, like I said, I got my spoons, you got your spoons, let's put them together and see what we can make.
I love it. And I think resources and providing people with that. And then like you said before, knowing how far you can really take someone. But I love
Mm-hmm.
the other part when you actually talked about telling them how to really do their own personal research. And I
Mm-hmm.
like to say go to the doctor to get the information you need from your body based on labs, based on what
Mm-hmm.
they can see, with imaging. Let them tell you what is going on the inside, so then you can decide what you want to do moving forward, how you want to heal, what your plan of action is going to be, because they're just a resource to give you the information. They're not the people to tell you what you have to do. You still have
Right.
some power in that. So not only researching what you got going on once you get that information, but also researching your specialists, finding the right people that you feel are aligned with you, that's going to do the things that you want them, like do the things that you say you would like to happen in regards to your treatment plan and how you want to move forward. And if they're not okay with that, helping finding someone who is.
Absolutely.
And that's a big thing. And I love Facebook groups at times too. The ones that allow you to openly share and they're really
Mm-hmm.
trying to have you to help, but there's so much politics in Facebook groups as well that limits how much other people can help. And it only
Mm-hmm.
takes one person to connect another person to an absolute great resource. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
so busy on um, policing your group or your community as an
Mm-hmm.
admin, it really reduces the amount of help that you really can do. But you said you created this to help. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad that you're able to find those groups, where people in the marginalized community that you serve are able to get the support that they can get. And I think more of those groups need to be created,
Mm-hmm.
and or virtual events. So people who are, if you're not in that group, they can just attend the event to be able to get what it
Mm-hmm.
is that they need at a certain time. And I think I saw a girl telling me that she's starting like support groups
Mm-hmm.
for endometriosis. And I think that's amazing, because sometimes you think you need a home base in a community that's on Facebook or in some type of platform, but it might just be an actual event that attracts people to give them what
Mm-hmm.
they need, and probably changing that over time. But
Mm-hmm.
it takes wanting to be a part of community, because I think a community is very needed in a space with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, fibroids, because you need to get with people that understand or can empathize or like know enough of what's happening to hear you out and tell you what it is that they did and see if it's something that you're curious about. That's the whole point of the Empower Place, Empower Lives podcast, is to be able to interview people in their journeys of strength so they can see what someone else experienced, their signs, their symptoms, what they tried, what they liked, what they didn't like. And they say, hey, I can identify with some of these things, or I cannot, or I think I'm down to try that, or I'm not. Because all at the end of the day, we're not telling you what to do. We're just telling you what we've done on our journey with polycystic ovarian syndrome or endometriosis or fibroids or adenomyosis, just so you can be empowered and inspired to do or take some type of action for yourself. Let's hit on the trauma though, DeJa, because you came a therapist for a reason, right? What was that reason?
So, my senior year of college, I faced significant trauma, and therapy is probably what saved my life and got me to being here and who I am. And I've always known that I wanted to help people, that I wanted to be there to support people. I didn't know exactly what it was at the time that I was searching for. But once I became still and slowed down, I received the answer. And I was like, okay, yeah, I want to be a therapist because there are so many people that are looking for a place to just speak the words, and then to move on, to do the healing work, to let it go, to be reacquainted with who they knew themselves to be.
I love it. And what has been like your most pivotal moment or most inspiring moment as a therapist that hit and was like, yep, this is why I do what I do?
Honestly, I think I've been lucky enough to have that moment weekly because I love my clients. Like, I actually really love my clients. I'll be like, okay, girl. But yeah, when they have that aha moment and they are able to put in change based off that aha moment, I'm like, okay, yep, there's a thing. There's a thing. Because I tell them from the beginning, like, unfortunately, I'm not supposed to be here your whole entire life. You know, I'm here for a purpose. It is my biggest job for you to not need me anymore. And once I'm starting to see like all these aha moments, the confidence to follow through, like I'm just like, yeah, okay. Like we're getting to the point where you don't need me and I love it here. And I'm just so proud. Um, so yeah,
You
that's
deserve
my
to be
reason.
you definitely deserve to be proud and to be able to overcome everything that you have overcome and to be able to not only be a force to be reckoned with in your own life, but to be able to show up weekly to do that for someone else and still have that vibrancy. I think that's a beautiful thing because not everybody can take on other people's energy or be in a space to really help people unpack and still be whole themselves or work on being whole themselves. And you also talked about your support system, your wife and Berlin. So I know it takes a community, like we talked about
Mm-hmm.
before, to truly be a good support.
Mm-hmm.
And I know your clients are grateful to have you. And I
Mm-hmm.
know you're grateful to be able to show up the way you show up. So let's talk a little bit about this trauma. How important is it to really address the trauma that you've occurred or had in your life. So then that way it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't show up in your body the way we see things showing up in our body.
So when it comes to trauma, the moment that trauma happens, it's in your body. We are made up of water, and water always remembers. So once trauma occurs, it it has a place within your body. And for a lot of people, you know, it is very difficult to deal with that trauma immediately. It's not even recognized as a trauma immediately. And so when it's not recognized or space is not held right after the thing has occurred, then in my head, I see that it starts to harden in our body. So, you know, you had a twitch in your finger, and then all of a sudden your whole hand's starting to shake. And then that whole arm is starting to shake. when, we could address the twitch in your finger. And then that's when once you recognize, okay, this is a problem, this is what's happening. Okay, now you're here with me. We're going to start at the arm, and we're not going to stop, just because now it's just at the hand. No, we're going to go all the way to the finger, remembering, oh, this is what made the finger start to shake. Okay, I've addressed it, I've cut it out. Now my whole body is back functioning to the way that I know it to function.
Love it. And I know you talked about earlier, you talked about movement, and you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
how beneficial movement is to get that
Mm-hmm.
energy moving out of you and around
Mm-hmm.
you. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
I'll say that the inspiration for me in getting that mindset is I used to dance too when I was younger.
Hey.
So hip hop, ballet, jazz, all of the things. And when I couldn't find the words, movement is what helped me. Dancing is what helped me to get it out, to express it, and I would be okay. And then as I got older, especially within the last year or two, I read The Body Keeps Score, and I was able to really see like people that have gone into traumatic accidents starting yoga, moving slowly, allow for their bodies to move the trauma out of their body. And yeah, that's where movement really came in and helped me to realize like it's necessary. You have
And
to
what was
get
the
that
name of the
energy.
book again?
The body keeps score.
The Body Keeps Score.
Yes.
That's dope. I like that slow movement. And I think sometimes people feel as though they need this high intensity activity in order
Hmm.
to feel like the body's getting the appropriate level or quality
Hmm.
level of movement in there. And it's
Hmm.
far from the truth.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm glad you elaborated a little bit more on that piece when it came to it. So Dej,
Mhm.
looking ahead, what are your hopes for the future in terms of treatment and recognition with polycystic ovary syndrome, both in healthcare and society at large?
Society at large, I hope just recognizes it. Like, and I hope that we get funding for more research because it PCOS, endometriosis is real. The effects that it has on our mentality, on our bodies, it's real. And it affects us literally to our cores. So it's my hope society wise that people recognize it, start to take it more serious and demand that more research be done for it. Health wise, it is, I mean, if we could find a cure, that would be great. Like that would be awesome. But it's my hope that birth control stops being here's the answer is birth control, because I don't it's not the answer for everyone. So yeah, it's my hope that more attention is paid to it. Birth control stops being the number one answer, and it's really like, okay, here is the root of the issue. And I actually do hope that doctors start to recommend more of a treatment plan to help to address the root of the issue.
I got you. And do you think people's roots are different? Their
Yes.
root causes are different?
Mm-hmm. I definitely
I got you. So 12-year-old age, yeah,
do.
first
Mm-hmm.
first set of symptoms of
Mm-hmm.
PCOS.
Mm-hmm.
What does that father figure or male role model look like that could have been a great support to Dej at 12 years old, into 17-year-old Dej, into 18-year-old Dej? What does that relationship with a father figure or a male role model, what tips would you have given them to be a best support to you during that time?
hmm. Oh man, that's a big one. Um, I know that 12-year-old me was very angry. So it would have been beneficial for my father to have sat down with me and told me that none of the things that I thought were my fault were my fault. It would have been beneficial to hear that I was a priority. Um, and not even to be told that, to be shown that I was a priority. That would have been very much so beneficial. And then 18-year-old, 19-year-old me, it would have been beneficial to be told to slow down, um, to just not take things so serious. And the people that were calling me stuck up, to be like, yeah, I am, and keep it pushing. I think in me trying to prove that I wasn't stuck up, I lowered my standards,
Mhm.
and I should have kept them standards all the way up. So
I love it. Thank you, Dej.
you're welcome.
And it's all right. You know, you live and you learn.
You live and you learn.
And especially when you're young,
Mm-hmm.
you do a lot more learning than living at times.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back and looking back, that then you're living, but then looking back, oh, you're learning more about what you should have done, could have done, would have done. The mature, responsible person, but it makes you who you are today, and it allows you to be able to show up the way you show up today. But I was a people pleaser at a very young age too. So knowing that, and then hearing someone tell you something that you're not and you don't identify, I can see why you would want to change to try to
Mm-hmm.
overcompensate for that mislabeling or
Mm-hmm.
understanding of who it is that, people will think you are, when it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
girl, be you. And the more you are you, the more you allow people who don't want to vibrate with you or are agitated by your light or your vibration will, definitely
Go.
fall back and distance themselves. And that's what's best for you.
Yep.
But a lot of times we're hard on that and we want to hold on to the things that we don't want to leave us for whatever reason that we haven't solved within ourselves. So I like that. Thank you for the tip, Stage, for the girl dads and the male role models. So,
Mm-hmm.
last question, Dage. If you could have a meal with any historical figure, who would it be and what would y'all eat?
Any historical figure? Mm, Maya Angelou. Because actually, it's actually a tie between Maya Angelou and Zero Neale Hurston.
Okay,
I
you can have
love
both of them
them.
at the table. I'll let you have both of them
Okay.
at the table.
Okay.
You can have both.
Woo!
I can get a table for three.
Yay!
Okay, so
Okay.
why those two, and then what would you all eat?
Because I love them. Their words, those are not words. Those are proverbs. Those are prophecies. Those are things to live by. Like that is a certain wisdom that makes my soul stir. And I would like to know, how did you get there? How what inspired you? What were the relationships that you built with yourself in order to speak in the way that you speak, to have had your head held high in the way that you did? Um, so yes, I love them dangerously. I would love to sit with them. And honestly, it's gonna sound so crazy. We would have some lemon cake and some iced tea, because I want to present them with something sweet and to just give them this abundance of gratitude. And I don't want it to be too heavy on the stomach, so we can stay up and chat all day.
So something sweet and lemon cake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I got you. Lemon cake and something sweet to
Yeah.
drink.
Yeah.
So y'all can stay lit, high
Mm-hmm.
on the sugar,
Essentially.
talk the entire time. I
Mm-hmm.
like it. I'm with it. All right, Dates. Let everybody know where they can find you, or reach out to you in the event that they would love to get some of your services, learn more about you, learn from you, connect with the resources that you have.
Yes, yes. So y'all can follow me on Instagram at Down to Earth with Dej, or you can find me on my website, which is also on my Instagram page, deeperhealinghd.com. That's my stuff.
I absolutely love it. Sounds good, y'all. It's been another amazing time here in the Good Vibe Studio. on the Empowered Plates Empowered Lives podcast. If you haven't gotten your anti-inflammatory guide, please go ahead and grab that free guide out of the description of this video. If you're looking for a healthy habits and lifestyle coach, or you're saying, you know what, I really need to make some lifestyle changes and I would love some help and some assistance, click the link in the description of this video and let's talk about it. Let's see what it is that you're willing to do, what you want to do, what you got going on, so we can really start putting a plan together so you can start living each day with intentional acts of kindness and love to yourself. And if you're on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you never miss anything. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast distribution platform, thank you for tuning in to the Empowered Plates podcast. Make sure you rate the show and let us know how you were vibing over there while we was chatting it up and getting our good vibes flowing. I hope y'all were inspired or empowered by DeJa's journey of strength. And if you have a journey of strength you would like to share, let me know, because everybody matters. And if you're still here and you're still in this universe, the world needs you, you need you, and your voice can be heard because it matters. Why does it matter? Because you're love and you're light. So thanks for vibing with us, y'all. Be easy. See you next time.